the judge look at the prior settlements and prior lawsuits?
Yeah, I mean, all that's going to be tried to be introduced, right? You're going to have the plaintiff saying this is important because the royalty rate is high, and the defendants are saying this is not important because those guys are all small fry and they settled for nuisance suits, right?
They claim they won.
Of course, I mean, right? It's you know, I am one, so I can say this. We're going to spin the same set of facts in entirely different directions to serve our own purposes.
And Rick, we should also mention that one of the ways that you disprove that something is obvious is through what patent attorneys call secondary indicia of non-obviousness. And if a lot of people apparently recognize the value of your patent, that's one of the arguments, because why would you all settle if the patent was so obvious? Now, as Rick says, he gets to get people to sit up there and say, well, the economics of it is, you know, it's not worth the fight, and they really gave in because it's not worth the fight. There is a factual argument that they can make going beyond just the damages issue.
Let's go over here.
So typically, I believe when there's a lawsuit and you agree to license it, there's usually what you mentioned earlier, a reasonable amount that you have to pay. Typically, I think it's around 10%. Is that correct?
It ranges all over the place.
Right.
Now, I don't even think 10% is an average. I would say 2 to 3% is more like an average.
Typically, it's average. For us, our exposure should then be worst case 5% maybe as a license. Right. So I heard someone earlier mention that even if you're apps free, you're not free from this issue. So if you're apps free, you generate no revenue. What could be the issue? Can you address that?
Well, I mean, the patent gives you the right to exclude others from making, using, selling, offering for sale. You're making, you're using.
Right, but if you're not generating revenue.
Well, if you're not doing any revenue, then you don't.
If you're willing to cease and desist, having free apps,
yep.
Then what?
Then you have no monetary damages.
And there's really nothing they can do to you.
Yeah, I mean, you may still have some monetary damages, but at the end of the day, you're not an attractive target.
Right. So in reality, in all practicality, free apps really should not be a target for them.
Unless you're damaging their bottom line and they see a reason. If you're offering a free alternative to a paid application.
Yeah.
Right,
but they're an NPE, so they're not producing anything, so there's no lost profits argument. Right.
The developer's signing it, so if the developer then makes the paid app, you still have to pay them on that. You signed the contract with bots, it's not your app. So you can't make anything going forward. They automatically get whatever percent of any paid app you'd make in the future, right? For the duration of the contract.
But only if it infringes on the patent.
Yeah.
Right, but how can you not? I mean,
yeah, I think that's the point. They're reading it. Yeah.
I mean, I guess
right, again, but your worst exposure is 2%.
Yeah, you're right. You're casting sort of.
30%, it's only 32%.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Sorry, over here. Sorry.
I have a relationship with a government entity, a government agency. Are they going after the government agencies for use of tablet form data collection? And this is a very wide area for this government entity that I'm thinking of.
I mean, I'm not aware that any defendants are government entities at this point in time, but if you have a contract selling into the government agency, then you would represent a nice target because you're, you know, going to have sales.
And my second question to that is that if they're not going after the government, then why is it that you can't use that in your trial litigation of saying if you're going after everybody?
No, it's not a requirement to go after everybody. It's, you know, they can choose who they you know, sue for infringement and who they don't. So just because you're passing it on, you still potentially are an infringer or allegedly an infringer, and
well, if the government develops their own application.
The government develops their own, then they need to go after the government.
Well, the government also has certain statutory protections that protect them from patent litigation.
Right, but you ultimately it's a different trial, but you still can go after the government for infringement.
if they're going after the little people and they're not going after the big people, why can't you, as a lawyer or lawyers, tack that on to the case? It doesn't make any sense.
It's not, there's no such case in the back, sorry.
Other of free apps, we've brought this up a few times. If I have an app that's free, and I just want to say, you know what, I want to prevent all of this from happening, and billuses and buy a license or whatever, what would that be? There's obviously no percent of revenue because it's a free app. Can I just get a license and say, hey, I don't want to be sued, I'll go by the books? Not that I agree with what they're doing, I think they're scum, but to avoid it all.
I mean, you could do that, but they're going to want to understand some of the financials, and they want you know, to have some agree. You know, they might charge you a flat fee, or they might just ignore you, or you know, it's hard for me to say. You know, they've got a lot of defendants. You know, most people first reaction isn't going to say, "Oh, there's a patent lawsuit. I'm going to go sign up to get patent so I don't get sued." It happens, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, yeah, they might not know how to deal with you. But I'm sure if you're willing to write them a check, they'll take it.
But you know, it's like, hey, how do I get a license so that I can use?
Yeah, I'm sure that you can.
Well,
you
I would
can reach
say
out to them.
Feel free to try. I'd like to know how they react in the back, sorry.
So what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing this correctly, so if I have an app that doesn't generate any revenue, and if I put a link in my app, say link to weather.com, for example, I can be sued for that?
Yeah, the infringement, the definition of infringement is the patent owner, have the right to exclude you from making, using, selling, offering for sale, importing the alleged device.
Well, I think I heard that a case of baby tracker. So there's a baby tracker patent holder that forced any baby tracker app from being offered in the App Store. So from what I've read a while back, there are some like GPS-based baby tracker. So it's not hard to make such an app. So you just make an app that turns GPS on, report back to the server, and you just have it as a background thread, and now you put the iPod Touch into your baby's back pocket, and now you're tracking that baby. So a few people made that app. I think most are free, but the patent owner says you are not allowed to put that up there.
So if I